Well, hello there everyone, my name is Amy, this is the Opinionated Woman, and welcome to Crafty Reads, the series where I craft something and we talk about the last 5 books that I've read. In this episode of Crafty Reads, I'm going to be making scrunchies again. I sold a bunch of scrunchies at my latest market, so I need to replenish my stock. If you're interested in these scrunchies or any other of my crochet creations, you can DM me on social media. You can also check out the Shopify that will be dropping soon, so if you follow me on social media, you'll be able to see when my Shopify store is live, and you can also DM me to get anything that you want. And also on my Real Gay Crochet profile, which is linked down below, I always have the next market that I'm going to be at. So there's very many ways for you to support me if you feel like wanting a crochet creation for yourself. But other than that, let's get into the books. The first book that I read was Life, Death and Vanilla Slices by Jenny Eclair. Now, I picked this up at a secondhand bookstore, and I like Jenny Eclair because I saw her on Taskmaster and she was crazy and wonderful. So I knew a book by her would be good, and it was. This is a kind of dark comedy that is following 2 women. First of all, we see one of our main characters, Jean, walking across the street after buying some vanilla slices and getting hit by a moped or a motorbike, and she ends up in ICU in a coma, and all of her parts of the story are told while she's reminiscing on her life from when she was young to the present day when she got hit by the motorbike. We get to see a lot of her history, we get to see her becoming a mother, we get to see some quite traumatic things happening to her. So like when I say this is a dark comedy, it's not, there are some serious topics in here that I think like trigger warning for sexual assault and for death. But there's also a lot of like humorous aspects to this as well. So the second character we're following is Anne, who is Jean's daughter. And Anne she's like a suburban mom. She teaches French at a local school. She's got 2 terrible sons and like a kind of shitty husband who kind of expect her to just be, you know, the perfect wife, like no expressing herself, no being who she wants to be. And she's sort of like losing touch with herself. Like right at the beginning, we see her having a dinner party for her friends, and she ends up getting way too drunk and then going downstairs to get a glass of water completely naked, and her son, who'd been out for the night, comes in with a girl, and she's there absolutely starkers. So because Anne is Jean's daughter, when Jean has the accident, Anne goes up to Blackpool to be by her bedside and to deal with her affairs and stuff like that. And we get Anne's present day and like the sort of history and like the very tenuous relationship between her and her mother, because there was another sister, Jess, and we know that something happened to her, but throughout, like with a combination of Anne's present day stories and Jean's reminiscing through her past, we get to find out what happened to Jess and all these different circumstances that overlap within their lives. And there's so much stuff left unsaid. There's stuff that's quite sad, and yeah, I just thought it was really nicely handled, and it made me giggle, it made me shocked, and then it also made me cry at the same time. So I think she did a very good job. Then I read The Midnight Feast by Lucy Foley, and this is going to be for the reading vlog that I was talking about in the last Crafty Reads. Let me tell you, doing a reading vlog for books that I'm reading on audio is a lot more of a slog than doing it with physical books, because I read physical books on a pretty consistent, like I read every morning and every evening. So I get through the books quite quickly, whereas audiobooks I listen at night and then when I'm driving. So I don't get through them as quickly, which is why this vlog seems to have been dragging out so much. So like I said in the last episode of Crafty Reads, I'm reading from authors that I've disliked in the past and trying to see whether their new work is more up my alley. So all I'm going to tell you is what this book is about. and then you're going to have to subscribe to see that vlog to actually see my opinion on this book. So this book is set at a resort, and it's run by a very woo-woo woman called Francesca, and it used to be her grandparents' house, and now she's made it into like a wellness resort. And we are coming into the story on their opening weekend of the resort, and we're following an ensemble cast like all of Lucy Foley's books. Right at the beginning of the story, we are told that someone has died and the hotel has burnt down. That's not a spoiler, it happens right away. And so we sort of go back in time and then count down to when all the shit hits the fan, basically. And we're following an ensemble cast, we're following some people who work at the resort, we're following Francesca herself, and we're following a guest that is not she seems. So I'm just going to leave it at that. If you want to find out what I thought about it, then you're going to have to check out that vlog. The next one I read was a really hectic one, and that's Notes on a Scandal by Zoe Heller. I added this to my TBR so long ago, I can't even remember, I couldn't even remember what it was about, and then I was waiting for my sibling at a doctor's appointment, and I started reading it, and I was like, oh shit, because this is not the type of topic that I usually gravitate towards. Usually I avoid this like the plague, because in this story we are following our narrator's name. What is our narrator's name? Barbara is a teacher, and she is friends with another teacher at the school that she works at, and that teacher, Sheba, is found to be having an affair with a 15-year-old student. And so we find that out in the very beginning, and then Barbara goes back in time and tells us the whole history of how that came to be, how her and Sheba came to be friends, and then how Sheba ended up with this relationship and then being discovered and the fallout of it. And it's quite insidious. It's really like, there's a lot of the time where I was sitting there going, which is why I avoid this kind of thing. I don't really like reading about pedophile type storylines. So the whole time, because it's from Barbara's point of view, it's really interesting, because it's not like the story's just been told in a neutral way. Like, Barbara has a stake in this, and you're not exactly sure what it is, and then right by the end, it sort of very subtly shows you Barbara's intent throughout this whole thing, and it's really insidious and creepy, and trigger warnings for all the things. Like, if you are sensitive to this stuff, like I would skip it. I don't think if I had realized what it was about that I would have read it. It's very well written. It's very, very well executed, and it's very nuanced. But yeah, a very heavy topic, and something that I wouldn't recommend broadly to everyone, even though it's been around for a long time. This is not a new book. Then I read The Twilight Garden by Sara Nisha Adams. I read the reading list from her last year, and I loved it. So when I found out she had a new book that was about gardening, I was super excited. What am I doing with this scrunchie? Oh yeah, okay, cool. And so this is following our main character, Winston, who is living in this flat that shares the garden with the flat next door, and he's renting and she's owning, and they really don't get along. He's got a boyfriend, and he's very much like always working, and Winston just works at a little like a corner shop type of thing, and he's sort of a little bit stagnant in his life. And then he starts to get some letters posted through his letterbox that shows him pictures and newspaper clippings about what his garden that he shares with this neighbor used to be, because it used to be a community garden run by the people who used to own the apartments that they lived in back in the 70s. And it used to be this beautiful community garden that the whole neighborhood used to like come together to support and to socialize in, and it was just like a really beautiful like community feel to it. And the garden is now sort of in disrepair, and this sort of inspires him to start working on the garden, and he slowly like gets a little friendship with the woman next door's younger son, who's like really enthusiastic about helping with the garden, and then they start to sort of cultivate that more community feel that was lost over the years. We also get a storyline from Maya, who's the one who used to live in Winston's apartment back in the 70s, and then Alma, who lives in the neighboring flat, and we see what the garden used to be, and we see all these different stories and the different people that make up the community, and some of them that are also still around. They're just like much older at this point. And yeah, we see them come together and bring the garden back to life and bring the community back to life. And it is so beautiful. It's a friendship fiction. I cried. It was just it's a warm hug of a book. So I really recommend this one. This is definitely one of my favorites of the year. And then the last one, which I think is also another favorite, and that's The Disappearances by Emily Bain Murphy. This is one of the books that's been on my TBR for the longest. And I went through and got a bunch of them on World of Books recently. And so this one has been a long time coming, and I'm so glad I finally read it. So we're following our main character. I always forget their names when I'm talking to you. Ayla. So we're following Ayla and her brother Miles, and their mother has recently passed away, and their dad has been called up for the war. So they are having to be sent out to the country town that their mother is from to go stay with her mother's childhood friend, to keep them safe while their father is overseas fighting. And when they get to this town, they come to realize that this town is not all that it seems. This town suffers from disappearances, which is every 7 years something in the town disappears permanently. The 1 year it was everyone's reflections. The 1 year it was scents. The other year it was colors from like paints and stuff like that. And so they're gearing up at this point. It is the 7th year, so they're gearing up for another disappearance. And they've also created these things called variants, which can nullify the disappearance. So like it's like a little powder, they'll scatter it over their mirror, and they'll be able to temporarily see their reflections. And so Ayla is now like has to live in this very changed world, and people are sort of suspect of her because not a lot of like new people come to the town, and like there's not really known for like outsiders knowing their secrets. Their mother was kind of looked down on for leaving the town, and they like had the impression that she was something to do with why these disappearances started. So that's something that Ayla needs to deal with at school. And so throughout this, we find out what the latest disappearance is. We learn about the variants, and Ayla starts to uncover the mystery of why this happened and tries to find a way to cure the town of all their disappearances. And it's really beautifully written. The characters are really well fleshed out. Ayla's a wonderful character, and it just like it paints this picture of this world so beautifully. And just like the ending is really odd. I thought the reason for the disappearances was a little bit weird, but I was there for it. And I just really liked how this sort of like magical realism world came about, and like the thought of what if that happened to you, like putting yourself in these shoes and being like, what if all of the stars, what if you couldn't see the stars anymore? What if music disappeared from the world? It's absolutely crazy. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. And that is everything for this episode of Crafty Reads. I hope you enjoyed it. As I said, stick around if you want to see that reading vlog, reading the books from the authors that I've hated in the past, because I've edited most of the vlog so far. I'm nearly finished it, and it's pretty damn entertaining. So if you want some more from me, my Instagram and my TikTok are down below, along with my Kofi link, which is a one-time tip jar if you ever want to support my channel. But other than that, like, comment, subscribe, all of that fun stuff, and I'll check you next time.